One of my pet hates is people driving around in cars like this without front number plates on. You may have noticed though that in some of the videos we haven't had a front plate on. This car I still haven't had the V5 through for yet, so I can't put the private plate on it that I want to. Eventually one will go here where it's meant to, but a company sent me a little holder that's good for putting plates on the front and taking them off easily, which I thought, you know what, I'll use that and that'll be good until I get my proper plate on. Unfortunately, when I was out driving the car not so long ago, something happened. I went over a speed hump, which is always something fraught with danger in these sorts of things, and there was the most awful racket. So this happened. I went over, and what happened was and my fear was that this, you see, hooks onto this little carbon fibre splitter here, and I was so terrified that it had basically snapped that off and dragged it under the car. So there was a moment of panic till I eventually got out, walked along and noticed that my front plate was gone, though luckily my splitter was still there, and this was halfway under my car. Unfortunately, because of the way UK law works, I can't actually get a replacement for this without the V5 that I haven't been sent. So that is why we've been driving this car without a front plate on. Not because we want to, because things sometimes happen with supercars that really, really shouldn't.
And welcome to JayEmm Friends, and we are on our road to get something fixed on the 430 Scuderia, which you would have literally just heard. This is actually a problem that was there on the previous 430 Scuderia that ultimately James had to sell back to the dealership because it just couldn't get resolved. But James has an idea on how we can actually fix this suspension issue, and he's going to explain that when we meet up with him very, very shortly. We're driving this car as stiff, noisy and raw as it is for the next 2 hours, drive me completely insane. It's got no stereo, there's loads of road noise, there's not a terrible drone from the exhaust, but you know it's there, and the suspension is extremely stiff. Personally, I love cars like this. However, there is something to be said about having a comfortable ride on a long journey. Obviously, you're going to be less tired at the end of it, and the car that I experienced the ultimate levels of comfort in is the Rolls-Royce Wraith. It happens to be Richard's from Challenge the Road. I was helping James film the video for that, so if you've watched that video you would have actually seen me without realising it. I was driving the Wraith for all of the drive-by shots, and that car was absolutely the ultimate level of comfort. But if I had to choose between a Rolls-Royce and a 430 Scuderia, I'd choose this. One, just because it's such an amazing car, and two, I have to say, there is something special about that Ferrari badge. So many people have stopped and spoken to me about this car. Lots of people stop and talk to me about the R8 GT Spider that I have, but not in the same way as they will talk about a Ferrari. People love Ferraris, or hate them, because I've also got quite a few disapproving stares, perhaps slightly more disapproving stares in this than the R8 GT, but more excited conversations. There's a more moderate, love it or hate it kind of attitude with the Audi, but with this there is like a despise it or adore it kind of levels of extremes. And I don't think people despise it because they don't like Ferraris. They despise it because they're not the ones driving it. And I honestly have to say, I do feel extremely fortunate to be in the position just to even have had it for a few days. It's a really special thing. Now we're a ways into this journey now, and so far so good. I haven't felt discomfort or annoyance at the lack of a stereo or at the road noise or the subtle drone from the exhaust. It's not a bad drone, it's quite a nice one if you ask me. But one of the downsides, of course, is having a lack of a stereo is, what about your Bluetooth? So to sort of go with a car of this era, I'm rocking a good old-fashioned Bluetooth earpiece. And so far, I haven't really needed it for much else other than to call James and let him know that I'm running behind schedule. And along with my mid-2000s Bluetooth earpiece, I have another gadget with me today for the point of view shots that you're going to be seeing in this video. This is the Insta360 Go 2. You can literally just wear it clipped to your hat. It's got a magnetic attachment. Allegedly it can record for up to 30 minutes, but I run it in pro mode and that doesn't tend to last as long. So 10-15 minutes at any one time is about all it can handle. But it does have a dinky little charging case that once it's run out of charge, you just drop it back in there, it charges itself back up again and you're good to go. We better get our hustle on because James is, unlike me, ahead of schedule. So we're going to go to a very special place that knows an awful lot about suspension, and hopefully they'll have the answer to that little knocking problem. Well, we made it. There is the man himself.
Your door, sir.
Thank you, James. First things first, most important thing of the day, fist bump. There she is, knocking and everything. Explained all that on the way here. Hopefully, we'll figure it out.
Thanks, Anthony, for getting my car here safe and sound. Now, as you all probably know, this is a new venture for the both of us. So if you've been enjoying things thus far, please tell us, get into the comment section, interact with us. We need your help to build this channel and make it the best that it can be. And if you haven't subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button, check the bell icon. At this early stage in any channel's development, it's super important. So, on to the topic at hand. We're here at Centre Gravity. Now, you may know these people already, but if you don't, you're in the UK and you're a car fan, these are very, very good people to know about. They are essentially suspension gurus. They are set-up nerds. They are wizards at all things geometry. Now, a lot of people tend to just ignore geo, or even worse than that, they'll take it to somewhere basic, get the tracking done, which often just means getting the toe vaguely where it's meant to be, and that's it. But truth is, with a car like this, a 911, particularly something like a GT3, or really any sporty car, geometry is an incredibly important part of a car's character. I learned years ago just how vital this is when I had my Lotus Evora, and after about 6 months I began to doubt whether the car steered as brilliantly as I told everyone that it did. So I took it to a specialist, had them look at it, and they said, yeah, we've tweaked it a little bit, it was only 1/4 of a degree out. Naturally I thought, well, 1/4 of a degree is nothing. That surely can't make a difference. But it did. In fact, it transformed my car, returned it to better than new. So if 1/4 of a degree can make such a transformative change to a car, I knew that getting everything perfectly in alignment was always going to be really significant. Particularly with stuff like this, which runs double wishbone suspension all round, getting the suspension out of alignment is worryingly easy to do. But, as Anthony will have already told you, this car is here for more than just getting the wheels pointed the right way, because this car is afflicted with a very, very common 430 Scuderia issue. It's knocking like a good one, and, as you may imagine, driving your lovely, expensive Ferrari along with it going does get a little bit tiring, particularly when you can't turn the stereo up to drown it out. Now, I previously had one of these cars, and the dealer that sold it to me took a lot of time and effort in trying to fix the problem, and unfortunately never could. I have a personal belief this was down to a couple of things. First off, as a Ferrari dealer, they are limited to putting Ferrari parts on the car, and it's well known that a few parts on 430s and 360s, particularly stuff like the ball joints, aren't the best. And happily, there are very well-known aftermarket alternatives, particularly those from a company called Hill Engineering, which are both cheaper and better made. So likely we're going to have to put some of those on this car. But more than that, I think the big issue was that it was never really worked out where the noise was coming from. We had lots of theories about it, and every time I got the car back, it did seem as if it was fixed. But a few hundred miles later, the noise would always return. So this car is here because these guys have all of the kit they need to fully and properly diagnose this car. In fact, it's going to be here for the next week, and they're not actually going to touch a thing. All they're going to be doing is driving, listening to, and inspecting this car to work out exactly what's wrong with it. Then, next time I visit this car and we make another video, we should hopefully have a really good idea about exactly what the plan is, what needs to be done, and essentially what we're going to do next to hopefully make this the car that I really, really want it to be. It's nearly there, and for many people, the noises it's making, I suppose, probably wouldn't bother them that much, but I am a little bit weird, and to be honest, listening to that drives me absolutely spare. It has to be sorted, and hopefully, if we can work out what's been happening, we'll also be able to provide a solution to all the other 430 Scuderia owners out there who've been told they all do that, sir. Because it's my belief Ferrari built these cars a lot better than they're often given credit for. So, that really is all I can tell you about. Sadly, because there are customer cars inside, I can't show you what's going on, but in the next video, we will have this car on a ramp inside. You'll be able to come with us, and I'll show you, hopefully, what we've found. Until then, thanks to you all for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already. A huge thank you to Anthony. Make sure you check out his channel, Sports and Touring, and if you like car stuff, check out mine, JayEmm on Cars. Thanks from us both. We'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.